We are currently on the way to my newest project, and there's two reasons why it's not in the garage. One being that the KLR is still here and I don't have any space for it, and the second reason being I don't really have the tools or the knowledge to fix it. But I know someone who does. I really have no idea of the extent of the damage that's been done to this bike.
We have 2 threads.
And I'm not going to know until I've taken it all apart. But I've set myself a deadline to try and fix it before the end of the month.
But those threads are never going to be anything you can put a nut on now.
And the reason for that is I want to take it on a trip with my dad and his mates into Wales, and it's probably going to be about 500 miles. And this is the only bike I have that's actually really capable of doing that kind of distance. So this is it. This is my only option and the only chance of going on that trip, which I've already paid for, is getting this bike working in the next 30 days. Well, actually in the next 24 days. And here it is. It is a Yamaha BT1100, also known as a Yamaha Bulldog. And I paid just £500 for it. But there is a reason for that. There's one massive problem with this bike, but there's also a lot of good things going for it as well. It's a 2002 bike, and it's generally in really good condition. Like, the engine's in pretty good nick. It's got these Dominator end cans. It's got basically new tyres. It's also got about 11 months MOT on it.
It's only done about 34,000 miles.
Which for a bike this age isn't really that much.
And not to mention, in 23 years, it's never failed an MOT.
And very importantly, it does this.
And this is great, because as you can see, similar bikes have sold on eBay for 3 or 4 times what I paid for mine.
So the question is, how did I get this bike so cheap and what's wrong with it? Well, the main problem is this. This is the nut that secures the drive shaft to the middle drive shaft inside the engine. It's snapped off with some of the shaft still inside it, which means there's nothing joining the shaft to the engine. And as you can see, when this nut came off, it took quite a beating while it was rattling around inside there. I think the first thing I'm going to try and do is take the whole swing arm off and see what damage this has done. I'm really hoping the damage it's done isn't that bad, and I can actually have a hope of taking it on this bike trip at the end of the month. And I mentioned my dad's got tools that I don't have, namely that crane. Because the first thing I need to do is get the whole back end of the bike off the ground and take the swing arm and the exhaust off. And there's not really anywhere underneath there because of the exhaust to lift the back end of the bike. So I'm going to try and lift the back end with that crane.
So I'm quite excited about this bike, because until I saw this one for sale, I don't think I've ever actually seen one before. They seem to be pretty rare, and I love trying out any different motorcycles I can get my hands on. So when I get this one back on the road, it'll be interesting to see how an 1100cc V-twin naked bike rides, as I've never rode anything like this before. But anyway, here's us removing all the trim panels to see if we can find somewhere to lift it up with the crane. My dad ended up picking the tricky side because it's got the lock to release the seat in it, but with a little bit of fiddling, he manages to get it out alright. And while the bike's down, I decided to take off these covers with the foot pegs built into them, just so I can see the shaft a little bit better and try and see if there's any damage.
Interesting to see, I've just located the speedo sensor. I'm going to take it out if it will come out, because that's something I read online can get mashed in this instance.
Oh, so is that,
Oh, f me.
that's mashed, is it?
Yeah, it's mashed. Yeah, it's a wee bit mashed.
Okay, well that's... To be fair, that's not... It doesn't seem to be too much damage going on in there, but then that...
Wow, can't see with that.
Tiny
This rubber removed. Alright, we'll continue with the disassembly, I think.
So the next thing to come off is the exhaust, and after removing the silencer, it's just a couple of brackets underneath that were pretty loose anyway. And then the other part of the exhaust comes off too. I definitely didn't put that one back on to make it look easy. And then we can put the hooks for the crane into these brackets on the back and lift it up. And just like when you strap something down, it's got to be done.
Ain't going anywhere, is it?
I ain't going nowhere.
And with those magic words said, I can loosen this nut on the spindle. Dad can undo the pinch bolt on the other side, as well as remove the brake caliper, and this supporting mechanism on it.
God, this is way too many people working on one bolt there. Oh, that's going to pull straight out if you take a bit of weight off, I reckon. Yeah. You'll lose all the spacers now as well. Yeah, there's a spacer on that side.
There's space for it to come out, is there?
Yeah, it looks like there's a fair bit of space on this side. There you go.
Comes out.
It's not going to come out because there's a number plate there. Yeah, you can't twist it. That's how we got to take the tail tidy off to get the wheel out.
Lift it up further and get it out then. But
So everything so far was going pretty well, although we had a little bit of a debate on how the spindle went back together.
Sure.
pretty sure.
Does that looks like it fits?
No, the other way around, I reckon.
Okay, alright. Take your word for it. Although, to be fair, it's on video, so I can fact check that.
Well, you can do. I will be proven right.
I'll check right now.
And if you're watching this, Dad, if you wouldn't mind just muting for a second. Yeah, he was right. But moving swiftly past that, next thing I did was took the foot peg off on the other side, which gave us access to the rear suspension linkage, which needs to be disconnected for us to be able to get the swing arm off.
There you go. Bottommost point.
Okay.
So in theory,
There you go. Got it.
you know.
There you go, it's resting on nothing now. Yeah, just, 17 goes in there. Yeah, have you got half-inch extension then?
Please. Long extension, short extension.
Middle extension. A bit of an extension. There we are. That's what I get, Hank. Thank you very much. You trying to wedge it somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know how much pressure it's going to take to undo it. So, you alright?
Oh, not a lot. It's already dirty.
Oh, there you go. Then.
You know what?
Gotcha.
Right now, what I could really do is another. Oh, extension.
Oh,
That's
well, there you
perfect.
go
That
then.
is. It's almost like you knew that was going to happen. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to amp up the volume with that so you can hear you say that.
Right, in theory then,
Is it out now?
this is disconnected, isn't it? But the swinging arm's still got to come out, hasn't it? But yeah, the bolt in theory is out of there. Want me to tap this bolt out, or?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll take the weight off again. Hang on, it's hitting a wire. There you go. Got it.
Right, well, that's.
Hang on.
There you go.
Oh, is there? Oh, it's hanging on this little
That's fine.
swing. Hold on. There you go. There's that through there.
That's done.
Yep. Okay, that ain't gonna work.
Got a spanner on it.
Way ahead of you. You taught me this trick years ago. And,
All about leaving.
and right now it's not working.
Just don't push
Bloody
it
hell.
out. Yeah,
It's properly in there. Like
Yeah.
it's not gonna slip on it. Well, I didn't feel like it's gonna slip. That was famous last words. But fucking
Put some
hell,
WD on it.
that's really tight. Yeah.
Just then let it soak for a minute.
Try the other one quickly before you watch yourself. Oh,
It's gone.
that's one gone.
Of course, you've just made the other one tighter now, but.
Have I?
Well, yeah, by releasing that, in theory, you've
Alright, we'll do it back up
got
again
more
then.
pressure on the other one, so.
I'll do it back up. That's what you do with bolts that won't come out in it. You tighten them first. I worked on the KLR exhaust. That's what I did. I tightened it first, and it actually made a bit, quite a big difference.
It's just breaking that initial fold, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once your fingers are that good.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. It's alright, I'm gonna put them right in harm's way. Don't worry. There you go. This soaks underneath there. I touched it and I was like, oh, it's all
I did spray a fair bit in there, so. There you go.
I think it's loose. Okay.
You're gonna have to hold the swinging arm because when I
Right.
pull this out,
Hold
it's all gonna go.
Oh, hold the whole weight.
Yeah, the whole weight of it. Or do you want me to hold that and you pull this?
No, that's alright, I just need to get in a good angle. There you go.
Got it?
Go on.
Right, we had it.
Grab the shock. Shock's gonna drop.
And now we've managed to get the swing arm off, it started to reveal the extent of the damage that nut did when it was rattling around. And it's not quite what I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the bolt or whatever, or the nut that was moving around in there has been jammed between it and it's forced it out. I mean, you can probably push it back in and get the shape back. I mean, at the end of the day, that's not super critical. I would have said the main strength is in the bulk here, so and the pivot point, which is all part of this. That's more just a cover for the drive shaft.
Yeah, where the universal joint is, isn't it?
Yeah, your main points of fixing are those 2 points there, and obviously that's all
You're gonna have to get all that shit
structurally
out,
fine. Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of cleaning the swarf out. That's dry in there anyway. The oil for the diff is in the back here.
And I was expecting to see where the nut had snapped off that drive shaft. Or so I thought, because it turns out I was wrong about what was broken. And what was actually broken wasn't quite what I was expecting. When I bought this bike, I thought it was the drive shaft that goes through the swing arm to the final drive that had snapped. And I checked online and you could buy these for around £318. But as you can see, the nut doesn't attach to that side of the shaft. It actually attaches to the shaft that goes inside the engine. And if I'd looked a little bit closer at the diagrams, I would have realised this.
But I mean, the wheel that the speed sensor picks up on still looks pretty good.
And we were both being pretty positive, but we didn't know what was to come.
Oh, there's a bit of swarf in there. Yeah, okay.
To me, that's
actually not that bad.
superficial damage, and even the UJ
Yeah.
is not. There's no play in that at all. So that's all right. Yeah, I mean, all this is just superficial damage to the surface of the casting.
Yeah.
There's no, like I say, that joint's perfect. There's no play in that whatsoever.
Oh, nice. So this is where the nut would have come from. That has taken most of the shaft with it, isn't it?
Yeah,
We have 2 threads.
but those threads are never going to be anything you can put a nut on now.
No. Okay, so this is what we're left with. We've got a snap shaft. Whether or not I can get a replacement for that, I'm not sure. I'm going to go and have a look at parts.
And this is where things started to go south. Firstly, because the shafts inside the engine are made as a pair, so they're only sold in pairs, and they're over £800. But if anything, that's the easy part, because to be able to change those 2 shafts, the entire engine needs to be removed, and then the engine case is split in half. This means completely stripping it down to basically nothing to be able to get to and remove the second shaft right here. And I'm not afraid to admit, this is definitely out of the scope of what I can do. And even if it wasn't, there's no way I'm going to be able to do it in the remaining 23 days I have before this bike trip.